Hi there. Now, not much more than 18 months after the Attack of the Grey Lantern was released, Mansun pumped out the Close for Business EP, then the full album 6. This took the postmodernist angst and flamboyantness that they had with the previous album to new levels that were unheard of since Marilyn released Misplaced Childhood. What was a surprise was the extent to which Mansun pushed the limits forward on the album, from the garish Marilyn-styled artwork to the endlessly shifting songs. 6 fits into the grand tradition of progressive rock, and it does as it dazzles with its twists and turns. Make no mistake, 6 is frequently dazzling, since MANSUN skillfully melds classic, progressive and pop styles with contemporary ideas of that time, including a healthy portion of electronica. Every song seemingly has a dozen sections to it, and there's even an intermission or an interlude voiced by a legendary Doctor Who Tom Baker to separate the album into 2 parts. This is a tribute to the old vinyl albums where you had to flip them over. But amid the interesting lyrics, ridiculous and wild uncontrolled pretension, and hideous progressive indulgence, lay some thrilling moments of music, and even 1 or 2 great songs, not least Legacy. The title track sets the tone perfectly. Begins with a short piano intro before guitarist Dominic Chav revs up his guitar for a blazing volley. Then, as the riffs die down, the strings fray. The track seemingly gives way to an entire new song. Television is a frightful epic that takes on our present day fascination with the tube, lampooning our insatiable desire for up-to-the-minute news coverage. It ends with an avalanche of guitar feedback and a 2-second blip of our very own national anthem. The very next track, Special/Blown It, delete is appropriate, lulls the listener into a false sense of security, only to deliver a backhand punk wallop, with Draper carrying on about fucking up, shooting his load and spewing on the motorway shoulder. Varied, to say the least, but the whole thing works because Mansun, even at their most deranged, can't betray their pop instincts. It's head-spinning listen, especially for the first time through, when it's impossible to tell where it's going or where it's going to end. That feeling doesn't quite let up on repeated listens either, mainly because the record is so dense with impenetrable ideas that are confounding even when you think you kind of understand where Draper is going with the entire thing. It turns it on its head. On one scale, that's an impressive achievement, but it's diminished somewhat when you take into account that 6 isn't particularly rewarding. Once you get a handle on it, it kind of, since it never reveals its secret or even its clues, it's hard to embrace the record, even for all of its many attributes. Still, 6 is clearly the work of ambitious, gifted musicians who aren't willing to stay still, which is reason enough to try to come to terms with it. 6 is the sound of a band collectively snubbing it. 6 debuted at Number 6 on the charts. To coincidence? Spectacular Effect.
I'd like to talk more about the album, but there's really just not enough time. You can go into it over and over again and analyse it as much as you want, but to put it bluntly, it's probably one of the best musically and lyrically artistic albums that you're gonna hear. The music will shift from kind of tempo and style of what you're hearing to something completely different, and that's the genius of it. You just can't get a grip of what's going on in the album, and if that is your thing, then you should really pick this up, because it's a brilliant album. And if I was to recommend one of the 3 albums, it'd probably be this, because it's completely separate from the other 2. It's not as kind of punky or poppy, but it just does its own thing, and it takes you completely somewhere in your own mind, and that's the brilliance of this album. It's just very good. Pick this up, you will not regret it, but just don't get the US version of it, because they completely bastardized it. Like the Attack of the Grey Lantern, they move tracks around and just completely mix things up. So buy the album, it gets my recommendation. What else can I say? Judge for yourself. I may be Chris.
All my life, what I mistook for friendly pats on the back were really the hands that pushed me further and further down. The more I struggle, the less I achieve. Deep chlorine breath. Minutes bleed into hours, bleed into days. Something keeps me in this disinfected room. We see things differently in daylight, I suppose. I mean, everything's an excuse for something. But my conscience is intact. I can deny everything. I'm waving into blind eyes.